Hello, everybody. This is Shane Havoc with Pinpoint Labs. I just want to, first of all, thank you all for attending the webinar today. We've got a large group with us again today. We've been pushing right around 200 attendees between our Tuesday and Thursday one today to watch the webinar. So thank you very much for your time. We greatly appreciate it. I'm going to just do quick introductions. We've got on the phone with me John Rowe, CEO of Pinpoint Labs. Once again, my name is Shane Havoc. I'm the Vice President of Sales, and then we've got Derek Merrill, who is in charge of he's our QA manager. He's in charge of all of our testing and support. So he overlooks that. So with that said, I'm going to hand it over to John. He's just got a couple slides, a couple polls he'd like to throw out there quick, and then we'll get on with the webinar. John?
Yep. Thanks, Shane. Hello, everybody. Thanks for joining us today. I'm going to put a few poll questions up. Just ask that you answer those. They are anonymous, as you probably know, so it just helps everybody find out a little bit more about who we have out there. So just first question, how often do you need to collect from the cloud? Google Drive, OneDrive, Box, Dropbox, things like that. If you could go ahead and put your answer there. We'll keep it open for a few more seconds, give everybody a chance to respond. Looks like so far we're at about 25% for less than 5 times a year, 10% at 5 to 10 times a year, and 62%. Wow, that's pretty high for more than 10 times a year. So we still got a few more people voting, it looks like. So thanks for taking the time to do that. It's always interesting to get that feedback. So we're going to close out that poll and go to the next one. Next question, have you ever distributed a self-collection kit? Yes, no, or I'm not sure what that is. In a self-collection kit, what we mean is you take a hard drive, you put some collection software on it that's scripted, they go out in the field, maybe do a custodial interview and walk them through where their files, find out where their network files or the local files are, things like that. So we got 52% yes, around 36% no, and 9%, I'm not sure what that is. So very interesting feedback. Very helpful. 82% voted, so thanks for taking the time to do that. I'm going to close that one out and go to the third one. We've just got 5, so it won't be too much longer. Do you or one of your clients ever need to perform enterprise-wide network collections on at least 20 computers or more? Those could be stealth in the background collections. It could be, sending out a link through a legal hold type collection. But I've got right around hovering around 85% for yes, 15% no, 86% yes. I'll give you a couple more seconds, then we'll close this out. I got about 80% voted on that. Thank you for your time. We're on the 4th of 5 here. Do you or one of your clients ever need to collect from Macs? Thanks for taking the time. We're at around 76. This is really close to our last webinar. We were right around in the 75 to 78% range for Macs. And this is a little bit higher. It's 80% yes and 20% no, with 83% of you voted. So thanks again for the time. And on the last one, and then I'll be done harassing you with questions. Would you or one of your clients benefit from directly pushing process data to Relativity? And we could even add collected data in there as well, as far as a direct connection from collections to Relativity. But open it for a few more seconds. We're at about 77% yes and 78% yes, 22% no, with 80% voted. Pushing almost 80 now, 79%. So I'm going to close out that poll and just want to thank you for your time and answering a few of those questions. We're going to be addressing some of these ideas and more, and addressing these questions today on our presentation. So again, thank you for your time.
Great, thanks, John. Thanks, everybody. Appreciate it. So the first thing I'd like to start out with is a new product that we just released. We just released it this week. This is our Pinpoint Cloud. Pinpoint Cloud allows us to visually navigate into our cloud accounts, helps user accurately identify relevant custodian data. Additionally, you can immediately ensure your credentials work successfully, and you can get into the correct account. So what we're going to do is, as you can see in the toolbar up there, we can now get into Amazon, Box, Dropbox, Google Drive, OneDrive, and OneDrive for Business. So what we will do is just go ahead and click on one of those. And keep in mind that no matter what product you're using with Pinpoint Labs, the main purpose is the defensibility of it all. We want to maintain metadata, maintain timestamps, do an MD5 hash verification. We deal with long file paths. Long file paths, usually the Windows limitation of 255 characters. We go up to 32,000 characters, which is the limitation of the drive, and then we always create a chain of custody for you. The other nice things we have built into the products as well is the resume feature and the reprocess errors. So everything we talk about today is going to always have that in mind, that we're always, maintaining metadata and timestamps, giving you a defensible copy. And the other thing is that you don't need to install anything. Everything that we're going to talk about today, even our processing piece, the only thing that would need installed would be a SQL server, or a SQL database, I should say. But besides that, nothing gets installed. Everything else can run from a NAS device or USB drive. So Derek here is running the demo on his side for us. He opened up Google Drive. This Google Drive has team drives built right into it. And so what he can do now is he can just pick on what team drives he wants to look at. Hit OK. And while that's doing that, I guess it's already there. So now you can see the folder structure, and when you click on the different folders, you'll be able to see even the files. So we can see the folder structure and the files of the data that's residing in the cloud. So this just helps, like I said, it helps you get logged in, helps you go ahead and see the folder structure, and this way you're not doing any collections blindly. So it's just a nice, quick, easy way to get into the sources, and then go ahead and pick and choose what you need. From there, let's just go ahead and go up to the settings real quick, Derek, if you don't mind. So here's our settings. As you can see, we can download different versions, and we can pick the version limit. We can also include your subfolders and selected folders, and then we have additional qualifiers up there. And those qualifiers, for those that have used Pinpoint Labs products in the past, allows you to create the variables, so you can add the cloud service or the date time that the process took place, or the user that's logged in at the time. So those are available to you as well. We'll just go ahead and close out of there. And while Derek's in here, what we're going to do is we can also do some sorting. So you can click on the filter, and now you can go ahead and do some sorts and basically cull down the data even further if you want to. So you can do it by file extension, or you can do whatever type of filtering you want in there. And then all you do is you go ahead and just pick whatever files you want to collect, or folders, whatever you want, and you can create a file list if you wanted to, but we can just go ahead and export that data. And you can also create a tree view as well if you wanted to. But once again, the chain of custody is there. We can resume and complete jobs, and it's basically, and like I said, there's no installation needed whatsoever. So that's the Pinpoint Cloud software. Like I said, that was just released, and if you have any questions about that, we'd be happy to address those at a later time. We probably won't. If you have questions, please just type in your questions in the question box in the GoToWebinar panel, and John will address those. We have a lot of people on the webinar today, so we'll do our best to get as many of those answered. But if we don't, we'll get to you via email. So our next thing we want to do is go ahead and get into Harvester Portable. And for those of you that didn't know what a collection kit is, basically what we have here is we've got a USB drive that Derek just plugged in. And so the Click Me bat is basically already set up. So what would happen with the self-collection kit is with Harvester, you would set up your job ticket, and that could include search terms or your keywords, file extension, date range, whatever search criteria you want to utilize. You set that all up before you send it out to the custodian. You plug in the USB drive, and then that custodian can have a couple different options. The first one we're showing you is just the Click Me. And with the Click Me, when the custodian clicks that, the software just takes off and runs. And it's going to copy everything back to that USB drive or wherever you specify. And it's going to go ahead and create that chain of custody for you. So that's a very easy way for the end user to interact. Pretty much just plug in USB drive and click on it. The next option we're going to show you includes, let's maybe say that this time we need to do a custodial interview, or maybe we need the custodians to kind of help us identify the data, and we're just going to have them kind of pick and choose what's relevant. This is what we did this time is we clicked on the batch file, and now this opens up our Harvester Easy Vault. The Easy Vault is just very simple. It just opens up. It's just a little interface sitting there, and now we can take whatever we have access to, whether it's on the network, whether it's Outlook, local, Lotus Notes. We can move whatever data we want to into this Easy Vault, and it will go ahead and copy the data out. And it can even apply your search terms if you have search terms, or search criteria in the background. So if they're over collecting, they can still apply the search criteria and only copy what's relevant. But the Harvester Easy Vault can be used for both Harvester Portable via the batch file, or you can also use it in Harvester Server via a link in like a legal hold email. So, and we'll talk more about that when we get into the Harvester Server software. So there's two ways that you can fire off a self-collection kit. And like I said, everything is still defensible, and then at the end of the day, we give you that chain of custody for you. No data. Yep, go ahead.
Hey, Shane, I had a question. I think, yeah, it's commonly asked, so let's go ahead and ask you is when you're keyword searching the data with the self-collection kit, can it, let me see here. Yeah, can it search within the zips and the archives and PSTs? Yeah.
Yep, it can. Harvester is probably one of the most granular tools on the market when it comes to collections. We can get very targeted. So like with your keywords, we can go into your archives. We give you two options. One is to treat the archive like a parent-child relationship. So if there's a keyword within that archive, we can copy the entire archive out, or we can just copy the files that are hits out of that archive as well. For PSTs, we can do the same thing. A lot of people buy Harvester just for the PST regeneration piece because, as you know, those PSTs get rather large, and so they want to go ahead and cull down the data from those PSTs. So we can go into the PSTs, do a date range cull, keyword search, dedupe across multiple PSTs, and search, by name, domain name, header, or of the headers, the two from CCBCC, and we can regenerate new PSTs of just relevant messages and attachments, and we keep that parent-child relationship together for you. So there's a lot of functionality in Harvester, and as you see here, we'll talk about some additional functionality. Any other questions, John?
No, I had a few more. I just answered direct. Keep trucking along.
Okay. So for Harvester 6 portable, you can see we've got three new. Yeah, the job profiles you see on the left, those are just the instructions that are set up for jobs. They can be pre-configured. But for you Harvester 6 users, now in the banner there, under the view, we've got three new options there, or really two, I guess. The copy only option is going to really slim things down. So if you have new users that are using Harvester and you don't want them to be overwhelmed with all the functionality and features of Harvester, and you just want them to have the ability just to copy the data, we just created a template for the copy only feature. So you can just go ahead and see the data see the fields that are needed to copy the data. The next tab, or the next view, is the common filters. The common filters is going to be date range, keywords, your sources naturally, and all that. So So those are just a couple of the new templates that we put in there for you. And then naturally the last one is all options. And as you can see, there's a lot of tabs there, and there's a lot of functionality, and we probably don't have time to go through all that. So we're just going to go ahead and skip right over that. The next thing that we want to show you is for Harvester 6 users, portable. We now have that custodian ID built in, so we can manage our custodians. So you can just type in your custodians and add those to the project as well, and you can just pick your sources. And some of the sources that Harvester, for those of you that aren't Harvester users, some of the sources that we're able to, as you can see, they're just drag and drop the software or that folder right into the interface, and it just instantly dropped it in there. And when we say drag and drop, we're not moving data at that time. All we're doing is putting the files or folders into the interface, and as you can see, it's just copying the path. So we're not moving data at all, and we're not doing a typical drag and drop. Like I said, everything is going to be, metadata maintained, timestamps maintained, and all that. But some additional sources that we can go after with the Harvester products, we can go after your cloud-based sources like G Drive, OneDrive for Business, Dropbox, and Box. And they'll go after all of your cloud-based email. We can go into Exchange, and then naturally you can go into your PSTs, your OSTs, Lotus Notes, and then you can just browse out to your native files as well. So Harvester can get after a lot of those sources, and we'll be adding some additional sources pretty soon, like Slack and some of those other ones. Something I would like to show you is the data assessment mode. So for those of you that have Harvester and you're unaware of the fast enumeration, please pay attention to where the fast enumeration is down there. That's under the General tab. Fast enumeration allows us to search speeds. We've seen speeds reach up to 38 plus terabytes an hour when it's searching data. So we've used, and that's using some of our fast calling options. But the other option right above that is data assessment mode. And so with Harvester 6 that just came out, data assessment mode has a new interactive view, which is great. So what we can do now is when we click on that and we run that, especially with fast enumeration mode, you can typically take a quick snapshot of your drives, whether it's local or network. And what you can do is you can, within a minute or two usually, you can instantly see what type of data is on that drive. And like I said, it's network or local. And the other thing you can do, data assessment mode can also be used for keyword searching and all that as well, all the other search capabilities as well. But Derek's just going to go ahead and pull up the data assessment mode. Oh, right, and right there he's just showing me right there. He's kind of helping me stay on task here. So he took a snapshot of this drive. He used fast enumeration mode. It took just over a minute. It's minute 27 where his cursor is. And the search speed was 3.82 terabytes, and they went through 88 gig in just over a minute, or just under a minute and a half, and it searched, 303,000 files. So you can see that's cooking pretty fast there. And so
just to interject, when we came out with this about a year and a half ago, we have just had phenomenal reports back from the field. And people who used to, it might take days to enumerate tens of terabytes of data on their network shares and try to figure out how to whittle it down, how quickly to whittle it down, and try to get a report back to attorneys. When they run this and it was back in hours, they literally were like, I could not even believe it was finished. I know that sounds like a commercial, but I mean, it was great to hear the feedback, because that's really what we were going for, is that ability just to essentially get their initial report back so they can make some intelligent decisions as quick as possible as to what needed to be collected. So as Shane said, if you have Harvester, you've got 5.5 or 6, you can't stress enough to use the fast enumeration, or if you're unclear and you need essentially a overview or help setting up a job, please come to us, because we think it would be a huge benefit.
Thank you, John. And so now in our history tab here, these are just some of the reports that we can see, but we've already been through this summary. We're going to click on the Files tab. And this is the EDA mode option where you can just kind of see what files are out there and which files fall within your search criteria. And now you can pick and choose and just kind of clean things up. So maybe you don't need your database files or executable files or anything like that. So you just kind of pick and choose what you need, and everything else that's left checked will end up being copied at the end of the day. So it's just another way to clean things up and only copy what you're needing, and it'll save you a lot of time. And then all you do is hit save, and there's that great resume feature and also the rerun errors there. So from there you hit save and resume, and it's just going to copy whatever files that are checked. And for those of you unfamiliar with Harvester Portable, it can run from a USB drive. It can also run from a laptop, desktop. Like I said, there's no installation needed. And actually, even when you're doing your PST regeneration, you don't even need Outlook installed. The other thing is that you can activate and deactivate the software, so you can move it around. There's no dongles needed either, so you can get a lot of mileage out of the software. Okay, so I think we're done with that, and we'll move on to Harvester Server. So for those of you, and this fits well with the polling questions that John asked about earlier in the webinar. Sounds like a lot of you do network collections, and Harvester Server has really become one of the true leaders for network collections. This is the Harvester Server interface, and it can run from a NAS device or just a central location on your network. And the beauty of it just running from a NAS device is that you can move it take it with you and move it from office to office, or you can just deactivate the software and download it in another location if you need to. Like I said, there's no dongles needed for this either, and there's no installation needed. So this is the interface for Harvester Server. You're over on the left, you see the collection projects. So this might be your legal holds are residing. So your project might be a legal hold, or just if you have other projects, maybe some people buy the software for not only collections but also culling and putting it in their production environment to cull down data as well. But your collection projects are just that. They're just a project that you want to tie your collections to. The next one down is review databases. This here is for the processing piece. So with Harvester Server 6, we give you the option to purchase or upgrade to the processing for Harvester. So Harvester processing does cost extra, but if you want to process right within Harvester, because more of our clients are wanting to live in Harvester and they want to keep that defensibility, and like I said, even our processing piece has a chain of custody built into it, and it also handles long file paths. So people are just wanting to live in the products longer. The next one is job profiles. The job profiles, they are the same as what you saw in Harvester Portable. So the nice thing is some people will need Harvester Server for your network collections, and some people might need Harvester Portable for those custodians that aren't on the network. So what's nice is that you can set up one job ticket, and that job ticket or job profile can be utilized in both platforms to keep that consistency there. And so anything that we do in Harvester Portable, we can do in Harvester Server. So from there, we're just going to go ahead and open up one of the collection projects. This is what we call the admin screen. The admin screen is great because if you're doing 20 collections or 20 plus collections, instead of running around from screen to screen or however you're handling it now, all the processing can be watched and monitored right from the screen. So you get real-time statistics back. You can do, culling by your different columns if you want, or sort by different columns. There's a lot of different options that you can do in here, and it's all color-coded. So like if there's any errors, it'll turn red. And like I said, it's all custom-coded or customizable, so you can change it to whatever colors you want. If somebody shuts a computer off at 5 or a network goes out, Harvester will instantly pick up where it left off. Where Harvester Portable, it's a manual resume, but Harvester Server, once that computer shuts off and it comes back up online the next day or maybe a day or two later, it'll automatically resume from the last good point of contact for you. So that's just another great benefit of Harvester Server. So anyway, everything can be monitored from this location here, which makes it nice. But what we're going to go ahead and do is view the results. Or nope. Yeah, we did. So here's the results. It's just the same thing as what we saw with Harvester Portable. So from there, let's go ahead and go into our job queue. The job queue is actually, GoToMeeting sometimes has a little bit of lag getting into it. The job queue is how we get computers into Harvester Server, and there's a few ways to do that. One is by just clicking on the create list of domain computers, and that's going to take a snapshot of your Active Directory. But naturally, if you're working, in a big environment, there could be thousands of computers out there. So to keep things clean, you typically just want to import a computer list of the custodians that you want to collect from. The other option you would have is just go down there and just start typing in the credentials and the name of the computers down there below, and you can just manually enter it there as well. So that's how we get the computers into Harvester. And then we also have now built into Harvester 6 is another custodian piece, so we can go ahead and hit manage. And here's where we can add additional information to our custodians, and all this information is tied to the collection piece. So we can add additional columns in here. We just threw some in there for now, and we can always customize that for you if we need to. But that's a nice little option there for us. Down there is where you can apply your different custodians, and over on job profiles, what's nice about this is maybe I've got 20 custodians to collect from, but maybe 5 are from the sales team, 5 are from human resources, and the other 10 are from whoever, the administrative team or whatever. We can apply, if different search criteria needs to go to the sales team than from the human resources team, we can apply those different job tickets or job profiles right here in this queue. So that way we can just fire them all off at the same time, but we can just take all those job profiles, enter them, and then apply them to whatever computers need that search criteria. So it's just a great way to manage the entire process. With Harvester, and John, I think I'll let you take over this part.
Sure, no problem. What we're going to talk about next is agents and how to, Shane talked to you about how to essentially get the computers in. The question is, how do you run Harvester from a remote machine? We've had several options in the past and still support things like PSExec in our previous relay, but what we have that's new is a new agent deployment and a new what we call MSI and agent manager. So if you're familiar with corporate networks, they typically use something like group policy or SCCM to distribute agents to remote computers. And right within Harvester Server 6 now, you can create your agents or your MSI packages on the fly. And the convenient thing about that is it takes the latest agent software. So let's say you've updated server or we've given you a new agent. By just clicking new, it automatically packages up that agent and as well as the network location and the MSI. And then you can just distribute that MSI through group policy or through your normal application upgrade processes, and you're good to go. The next is our agent monitor. And this is super cool because what's going on here is it's giving you a live display of all the agents on your network. So let's say you distributed an agent, a Harvester agent out to 300 computers or 3,000 computers, whatever it is. Then right here is where you can see the computers that are essentially currently online or the last time they've checked in. And it's also going to tell you if it's a Windows or a Mac. And which brings to the next point, which is that we've just built a new native Mac agent, and we're able to essentially get that distributed out to any Mac clients on the network, and then seamlessly in Harvester Server, you're able to send work to those systems. You're able to see live updates from this screen and from the job queue. And you're able to see on the fly here, as you can see in this interface, what the OS is. Now this grid too, just to let you know, this is like our other advanced grid. Let's say you end up getting thousands or tens of thousands of computers in this grid. You can actually use the grid to search on a custodian ID or a computer name or Windows or Mac or OS. Any of these columns can be filtered, sorted, and if you just wanted to see what's online right now, you have that option. So again, it's very scalable and works well in the enterprise, whether you've got a handful of custodians you're collecting from, or again, you've got tens of thousands of agents that you might need to monitor. Back to you, Shane.
Thank you, sir. Okay, so now that we have, like I said, if you have the harvester agent, what you can do now is you can use snapshots. So you can see we've got the snapshot up there. So Derek's going to click on a couple computers, and we're going to click on the snapshot, selected computers. With our snapshots, we can apply a couple filters, and that would be date range and file extension. And then we would just hit submit. And so, and there's also a queue for all the snapshots that we've taken for these computers. We've already got some complete up there, so we'll just go ahead and do that. But typically, your snapshots will take a minute or two. But once we take the snapshot, we can go right into our details. And this is great because without even setting up a job ticket that has all your search criteria built into it, you can sit here and go ahead and snapshot custodial computers if you want, and it'll bring back your extension tab that you see there, and you can filter by extensions if you want. And when Derek's doing this, you can see he's typing in docs, so he's going to pick on his docs. He's going to type in a few others here just for the demo purpose. And then what he can do is just click on that top button there, the header, and then he can just say collect selected extensions. So without even setting up a job ticket, what I can do is I can go ahead and snapshot my computer. Like I said, it usually takes a minute or two. I can just come in here and start doing some filtering by doc extensions, and I can instantly start collecting data. So it's rather quick, and it's so easy to do. It's just makes your life a lot easier. And like I said, once again, you're not going in blind. The next tab that you see there is our files, and this takes it a step further. This will actually give us our full file path. So now we can see the full file path. We can still see the extensions, and we can also see the created date and modified date of those files. So once again, we can go ahead and do our filtering. We've even got some more advanced filters in there as well that you can always utilize. But then all you have to do is pick and choose what you want, and hit collect, and you're off to the races. But the most exciting one to me is the next tab, the Explorer tab. I think this is one of the neatest things with Harvester 6. It just came out, the agent. So without leaving your desk, you can just come in here, enter your computer or your computers, and then you can take a quick snapshot. And now, I can see the actual folder structure of those custodial computers that are on the network. And now, without doing anything, like I said, it takes a minute or two to set all this up, and now I can just go ahead and browse through the folder structure, and I can pick whatever folders I want, and then I just hit collect. And naturally, we're doing, as you can see up there, we're doing this on a Mac. So if Derek hits collect, he can enter a job name if he wants to, and hits OK. And now if we go back to our admin screen, you can see that job has now been pushed out, and it's getting ready to take off and do the collection. So once again, there's multiple ways to do a collection. You can do it in stealth mode, so you can do it behind the scenes with Harvester Server, so the custodians have no idea that anything's going on. So you can do your collections in stealth mode. You can do your snapshots, and that's also in stealth mode, of course. But you can also utilize the Harvester Easy Vault if you needed to. So if you needed to have some interaction by the custodians, you remember the Harvester Easy Vault that we utilized, where that little dialog box popped open on the self-collection kit. You can create a link within Harvester, add that to your legal hold notice, send out that to the clients or to the custodians. Once they click that, all that will pop up is that Easy Vault. They take whatever's relevant to the case, drop it into the Easy Vault, and hit done, and it'll copy back to on the network or onto that NAS device, wherever you decide you want to put that data. So there's just a lot of ways to, Harvester's just a great app because there's a lot of calling capabilities and a lot of flexibility to the software to fit about anybody's needs here. So any questions, John?
I think we got them all answered, so you can keep moving along.
Okay.
Actually, no, there was one that I think we get a lot. Let me go ahead and hit on this one, which is, in regards to keyword searching, is it possible to search for patterns? For example, if we were searching for sensitive data like social security numbers, credit card numbers, and the answer to that is that we do implement DD search in our applications, and so you know, whether you're doing it on the Harvester portable side or the Harvester server processing side, you can enter numbered patterns that match various types of strings, and we've had people use that in the past. So just wanted to get that answered because I think we do get that question quite a bit.
Great, thank you. Okay, so now we're going to close out of there. So those of you that have Harvester 6 or have Harvester server, now when you get Harvester 6, you will see this processing manager, but once again, keep in mind, Harvester processing is an additional add-on. So what we're going to do is just go ahead and go into the processing manager. And the reason we've put this Harvester piece into it, the Harvester processing piece, is because our clients have been asking us to be able to dedupe, you know, globally dedupe, because we already do the custodian dedupe, but they wanted to do a global dedupes, you know, keyword searches, filter across multiple Harvester portable and self-collection kits and server collections. So now we're able to take a collection, you know, whether you've got network or portable. You can take all of that data and put it into a single database, and now we can go ahead and do deduping, and we can also do keyword searching across the entire collection. So that's the reason Harvester processing was put in, and not only that, but people were wanting to create load files at the end of the day. So how do we get there? First, we're going to click on the merge and process. And so what we can do, as you can see there, it says drag individual Harvester databases. So with each job that Harvester creates, whether it's collections from portable or server, there's a SQLite database that gets created. So all you have to do is take that database, drop it into this interface. And so the portable one that we did earlier, that just got dropped into the interface, and now we're doing one from the Harvester server software. So both of those are put into the database for processing. And since you guys are all in the industry, you can see down below, we can add our prefix, the padding, number of threads to use. It is a multi-threaded, 64-bit multi-threaded eDiscovery processing engine. So it's very fast, but all this can be done now in Harvester server. We can also OCR and of course index and do all that fun stuff as well. So what we do there is now just go ahead and launch the software, and you can always stage it if you want to, or queue them up and start, whatever you want to do. So we're just going to go ahead and launch, and pretty much for about any interface that you're seeing here, we have templates that can be saved, so you don't have to continually go in and hit all your different settings. So basically everything can be saved and make things easier for you. Now you can see that the Harvester has added those two jobs and it's taken off. And so it's just going to go ahead and do its thing. From there, what we do is so just keep in mind that Harvester is, this screen here is the screen that's for the process view. So what this allows us to do is allows us to go in and see if there's any errors, and naturally we can sort, once again, or filter by any errors that might have occurred. And we can easily get to those errors and deal with those as needed. Once again, we have the reprocess or rerun any selected items if we needed to. But keep in mind, so what we've just done now is we've extracted all the text, we've extracted all the metadata, we've flattened out our mail stores, our archives, And if we wanted to, we could have OCR'd, but we're going to wait to OCR here in just a second. So we're going to go ahead and close that. And now we'll go to processed items. And this is our processed items. So now everything's flattened out. Now you can see all of our different index fields. And so if we want to now we can go up and go ahead and do our batch file or our batch process. So if you want to run this overnight or whenever you want to do it, you can naturally do it by all items, any current results or any selected items. And then you can just say, okay, let's go ahead and OCR our files and index them. And as you guys know, OCR can always take a little bit of time. So if you want to run that process overnight, you just queue it up, hit begin, and let it run. The other thing we can do is the other tab back there is dedupe. And we've got global, custodial, and something else that we have in here is now a custom dedupe. So you kind of pick and choose if you want to do a custom dedupe in there as well. Okay, so next we can go ahead and go into the tagging. So we've got our tagging manager. So with Harvester Server or Harvester Server, the processing piece, we can create our own tags. And so here's where you just create your tags, and you can you can add your coloring to them. You can make them inactive or active. You can basically just type whatever you want in there and import tag list or just manually type those in. And once again, just keep in mind that everything that we're doing here, we're still handling long paths, and we still have that defensibility coming through with us. So,
yeah, I just had that question, so it's like you read my mind. But now, when we were doing the processing earlier, somebody had asked if the long path support is in the processing side too, and as Shane just said, yes, that's supported throughout the application from collection to processing to production, and does the hash verification throughout the process as well.
Yep. Next, we'll go to the text viewer. So now you can see our tags that we created. They're on the left-hand side. Our document viewer is in the middle. If you wanted to, you can just easily hit the little arrows up top with the file name and scroll to the right or left. The other thing we can do is we can do a quick search there to the right, or if you want to do another search within a search, or if you want to use DT search after you have everything OCR'd, you can just type in your keywords like we have in there as well, and then you can apply your stem and phonics and then fuzzy. Looks like we've already created that, and now to the right-hand side of well, you can see the keyword hit highlighting down below, and to the right-hand side, we give you the full document path. We let you know exactly where that keyword is, and all that good stuff. So that's available. But not only when we do our flagging and tagging, there's a great way to do batch tagging. So what we can do with batch tagging is if we do a search, we can just come in here, pick whatever data we want. So we're going to do a quick filter of our PDFs. We'll go ahead and select those for current results, and we'll just hit a flag or two, whatever we want, and then we hit add. And so now what we can do then is if we go on and keep doing whatever we're doing and we ever want to pull those back, you got up top there, you can see under the bulk tag operations, you can see database sync. Anytime you wanted to bring those tags back, all you do is just slide that slider over, and it'll just pull back whatever files we just tagged. So it's just a nice clean way to get back to whatever files were tagged with whatever flag you have there. So it's a nice little option. And then of course we've got our export manager. So once we get all of our data massaged and we got our subsets that we want to produce out, then we just go into the export manager, and you've all seen this 100 times, 1,000,000 times, whatever, however long you've been in the business. Now you can pick your index fields that you want, and then you can go ahead and just basically pick your prefix, your numbering scheme, and then if you want just down export type, we've got the DAT file, of course, and then Relativity are probably going to be your main two that you utilize. Something we are working on, as you can see up in the top there in the banner, is a direct push to Relativity, and that's part of the reason we asked that question earlier. We are Relativity dev partners, so we're working hand in hand with Relativity, and there's some Relativity just had some development changes going on, so we're waiting for that to be available before we release the direct push, because it'll just be a cleaner push for you guys. So once you get all your data processed and ready to go, we will be able to get that direct push straight to Relativity right from Harvester now. So that's available. That'll be available to you here hopefully by the end of the year, I would say. So what did I miss? Did I miss anything on all that?
Yeah, I did have a couple questions here we'll catch up on. One was somebody wanted a rough estimate. They know it's a rough estimate of some of the speeds during processing. I don't know if Shane went over that. Of course, we hate to claim or get too crazy, but we've seen as high as around 50 gigs an hour or more. I don't know, Shane, if you answered that already. But
no, I didn't touch on that. I'm sorry. Yep. Yeah.
No,
I'm a sales guy. I usually like to toot our own horn on that. He
wants to say 1,000 gigs an hour, but I won't. But it is one of the coolest things. I know processing has been out for a while, and Shane and I have been around it for a while. But it's like something. It's really cool because the new engine, the fact that it is multi-threaded, multi-core, we've seen it take advantage of any hardware we've thrown at it, and so that's a great advantage. So the hardware, of course, makes a difference how fast it's going to go, but we've seen some really impressive speeds out of it, and so hopefully you guys will give it a shot. And if you had anything to add to that, Shane.
Well, and something else I'd like to say is, when you have multiple offices with multiple licenses, as we mentioned, there's no dongles needed with this. So if one office isn't using processing at the time, that you can deactivate it. Actually, you could have it downloaded in both spots, but all you have to do is quickly activate it, and you could start processing. So it could really cut down the number of licenses that you currently own, because Harvester, like I said, without the dongles needed, you can instantly be running Harvester like in Toronto at one time, and then New York a minute later. And so there's just so much, you can get so much mileage out of our licenses by the way we license our products. And people probably think we're crazy, but that's just the way we've done things, and we take care of people. So we're just going to continue with that model.
I will add to that that PSTs, and you probably know this, PSTs, because they're container files, do take longer to process than individual loose files. But because it is multi-threaded, if, for example, you had multiple PSTs that had to be processed, it would deal with a different PST in each thread. And so that does speed it up, since you're not just waiting on one PST to get done at a time. The other thing is that we are looking at essentially multi-threading actual individual PSTs. So you could get multiple threads within a PST, and that would, of course, make things potentially go faster depending on the size of the PST. So just wanted to put that out there.
And another scenario I have too is if you're doing a bunch of collections, maybe, for those of you that have to go on site to do collections, while you're doing your collections, you could actually be processing that data without having to bring it back in-house to process. So you could do your collection and processing right at the same time, so you can get that done and up to review a lot faster. So there's just hopefully everybody sees the advantages of the way we're doing things.
One other quick question is, when using the export with a load file feature where the email and container files are present, does it have an option to export with and without children? And the answer to that is yes. You have a choice. You'll see a button at the top that says, on your search screen, that says include family items. And so when you're doing a search, if you wanted it to go out and add any of the other family items to your current search, then you can click that button and it'll do a lookup on those, and then you can take that and export those. So it is an option. That's it for now. You keep chugging along.
Okay. Well, I mean, that's really kind of it. But once again, first of all, I can't thank you all enough for showing up. Second of all, once again, everything you saw today, like all of our products, we also have a great SharePoint collector. I put it up against any other SharePoint collection tool in the business. But everything that we do is defensible. We maintain metadata, maintain timestamps, do an MD5 hash verification, deal with long file paths, even through the entire processing piece. We also put it in a chain of custody. The chain of custody comes through the entire processing piece as well. We can activate and deactivate the licenses. We can share those with our other licenses or other people in the industry that we need, not people, but just other offices, locations. But the only thing you ever need to install would be a SQL database. Otherwise, everything else can run right from a NAS device or a USB external drive. So, like I said, you can get a lot of mileage out of it. We've been in business, I don't know, what are we going on, 15 years, John? Is that where we're at now? But
13,
so we've been in business a long time.
Just over 13. So
we work with right at 40 U.S. federal agencies. We work with a lot of corporations, Fortune 500 companies, service bureaus, law firms. So we've got thousands of licenses sitting out there. So we're, and thanks to Derek and his team, I'd put our support team up against anybody in the business. So if there's any questions you guys have, always feel free to email me. My email is at Shane, SHANE.Havoc, HAV as in Victor, ICK, at pinpointlabs.com or sales@pinpointlabs.com. We'd answer any questions you have, but always feel free to reach out to us.
Just getting a few more questions answered. Somebody's asking if it could date range collect from a OST, and yes, it can. It will read OSTs and PSTs natively, and you can do attachment searches as well. And that's something that's good to know about Harvester. A lot of times the lightweight collection agents out there or forensic apps out there, they don't dig into archives or PSTs, OSTs, and that's why Harvester is being called an eDiscovery on a stick, because it can do a lot of very granular, as Shane called it, detailed searches at the point of collection. So that's just something that's worth knowing. And I think that is, I think we're caught up on all the questions. Before we wrap up here, just wanted to, again, as Shaden said, thank you for your time and attending the webinar today. We're excited about the new enterprise-wide on-prem eDiscovery collection and processing platform, and that's something else important to point out is it is on-premise. Everything, it seems like every time you turn around, everything's cloud-based, and we have a lot of clients very worried about keeping their documents on their side of the firewall. So it's something we're very proud to maintain a enterprise-level app that can be used and managed internally. So we appreciate that. All of the Harvester 6 upgrade notifications, if they're out, if you're a client and you haven't got an email, if you're a client and you're current on your maintenance and you haven't got your Harvester portable or server notification, let us know, because those are now all out the door. And Pinpoint Clouds for purchase. We do have a new standalone Mac portable collection license that's going to be coming out based on our network collection agent. So you'll be seeing that come out under most likely the Safe Copy brand. And so, like I said, Relativity Direct will be out here pretty soon as we get that wrapped up with the new SDK they gave us, and many other exciting things at Pinpoint Labs. So again, appreciate your time, and thank you, Shane and Derek, for your assistance today. Anybody have anything else? We good to go?
It looks like it. Well, thanks again, everybody, and hopefully you all have a great day. Take care.
Thank you.